Hey guys, it's Spencer from ICC Home Solution. If you watched some of our videos before, you know most of our videos are usually directed towards people who live in their property. Today, we're actually going to talk a little to y'all, to landlords, right? So great question is, hey, how can you sell your house with tenants here in Clarksville? So a couple things we got to think in mind, right? A couple kind of big priorities we need to always make sure we take into account. But the first and foremost is tenant rights, right? Are they on a lease? What are the terms of that lease? How long has the lease been in effect? All major questions, right? And all things you got to consider when we're talking about tenants' rights. Obviously, it's a little easier to sell a house when it's empty, mint condition, staged, on the market, right? That's an ideal situation. Oftentimes, though, that's not the reality. I wish we could wave a magic wand and make everything happen, but it's not the world we live in. So with tenants, oftentimes you can't just be like, hey, Joe, hit the road. There's a lot of times they've got time left on the lease or they don't want to leave, right? Maybe they're month to month and you realize that, you're just tired of it, or you want to, maybe switch out the tenants, upgrade the property, rent it for hire, or option two here, right? Sell directly, right? So first we'll make sure we know the tenant situation, and then you can reach out to a direct buyer. Because like we just discussed, properties in mint condition, rent for hire, they sell for hire. But it takes a lot of capital sometimes to upgrade property, especially rental properties. You may have had a tenant, we know we've had them before, didn't treat the property the way that you want them to. And at the end of the day, that's just unacceptable. But we do know it takes a lot of capital to make those repairs, to upgrade and update. And, for the repairs, sometimes the security deposit doesn't capture all that. And, small claims might be a good way to pursue it, but sometimes that's just not going to help you out. You're not going to have luck, or it's just not going to be what you need. And it makes a little more sense to sell directly, right, to someone like us. We'll come in, we'll either deal with the tenant issues, we'll help you deal with them, we'll coach you through it, we'll purchase the property with tenants in place, we'll find a way to figure it out that works for everyone. Now, the third one, and something that's important to keep in mind when dealing with tenants, is, hey, can you offer incentives? So there's a premise called cash for keys, and it's exactly what it sounds. It's, hey, Joe, I'd like you to move out next month. I know you got 2 months left on your lease, but I really want to do some upgrades to the property. I'll give you $500 if you'll move out early. Something of that nature. Or if you got a difficult tenant who's just waiting to get evicted, maybe I come in the picture. I'm like, hey, look, what's up, Joe? It's Spencer. I know you guys are going to get evicted. I don't want that to happen. That's a month out of my time that I got to deal with, and lawyers and this and that. What if I could just give you $1,000, man? Or maybe I'll pay your security deposit at your next rental. Kind of figure it out in that situation where you can offer incentives. But at the end of the day, right, you got to be respectful. Someone who doesn't feel respected is not going to take care of your property the way that you want them to. Someone who doesn't feel respected is not going to take care of your property while you try to sell it, whether it's to a direct buyer or on the market or what have you. You got to think about, at the end of the day, what can we do? And the number one thing there is you just got to be respectful. Treat them the way you want to be treated. Treat them the way that you would like them to treat your property. One option that always comes up too when dealing with a tenant-owned property is, hey, can you sell the property to the tenants? In some cases, they've lived there 5, 10, 15, maybe even longer years, and there's an opportunity there. That they're emotionally invested in the property as much as you are. Will that tenant buy the property from you? If you can line that up, that's perfect, right? Seamless transition, right? You don't have to worry about them moving out or updating or upgrading. They're in that house. They are owning the condition, right? It's a great way to kind of walk away from the property. Usually you still put money in your pocket, they're going to purchase the property from you, but kind of square it away at the end of the day in a simple manner. And the last one, right, and something you can always do is just wait. Maybe you're 2 months into a 12-month lease, maybe you're 1 year into a 2-year lease, and maybe the house needs a little work, but not a ton. Maybe the incentives didn't work, or maybe, they're paying rent and there's really no reason. You're cash flowing, it makes sense. Put your feet up, wait 6 months, you wait a year, maybe wait 2 years, maybe, wait 6 months, get another tenant in for a year, and then have this conversation. Regardless, at the end of the day, the decision is different for each property and for each person too. But hey, at the end of the day, you might have questions, and I always recommend you reach out to an expert. We do this kind of thing all the time, every day. And at the minimum, we can offer some advice, maybe some guidance, maybe connect you to some resources, show you some stuff that's worked for us or hasn't worked for us as well in the past. Always happy to sit down and have that conversation. So So if you got any questions, or if any of that sounds like something you might be interested in, especially as far as selling your house with tenants to a direct buyer here in Clarksville, give us a call, shoot us a text, and we'll be happy to talk. Spencer from My Tenancy Home Solution. Have a blessed one.